A motion by Helmut.
Welcome to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to talk about what goes on in the village, the township, you know, those people that make laws and regulations that affect you out there.
That's right, Elgin. And whether you live in the village of Oxford, the village of Leonard, Addison Township, or Oxford Township, these are the people that you elected and the committees and the commissions that make decisions that affected you out there, whether you chose to go to that meeting or not. And the result can be a taxing situation.
Very much so. Or you could find a bit of humor, you know, in every meeting. It's normally at the top or the bottom.
Not if you're at the other end of a taxing situation.
But that would be God's sense of humor, probably.
I see.
I'm not all sure
Or
about
karma, whatever.
Or karma, whatever it is. Comes around, as you say, bites you, right? One more thing that we do occasionally here is we establish a rumor or two, mostly from this guy. Yes.
Oh,
He knows who I'm talking
later
about.
to be confirmed by this guy.
Yeah, it could be. So pay attention to what we talk about at these various meetings. First one we're going to talk about is the Oxford Village Council meeting, and it was a special meeting. And guess what this special meeting was all about?
I don't know. How special was it?
They're going to hire a new clerk, and so they were doing interviews.
I think they had two, didn't they?
They had two people. They actually had three, and I guess one of them stepped out.
Stepped out or smoke or what?
Must have.
Oh,
I don't
just
know.
Never came back in?
Willy-nilly. She never
Okay.
showed up, or he
All right.
never showed up. So anyway, so the two people that they were talking about, we'll get onto that. But first of all, the village council president is Sue Bassardit. Eric Dolan is the vice chair. Maureen Helmuth, of course, sits on this board, as you well know. And David Bailey and Joe Frost.
Is it vice chair or pro tem?
It's could be either or. Vice chair is what I refer to. Could be pro tem as well. If you refer to the president, it would be pro tem, more likely. But it could be vice chair also.
Well, you're just a fount of information.
Yes, I am. You pay close attention over here. Okay.
I'm going to have to.
Yes, you're going to have to. Anyway, the two people that were absent were David Bailey and Joe Frost. And first thing they did, of course, is they did the pledge and they did a moment of silence, which is in respect for military that are deceased and also local residents that have done a great job, you know, in the community. So anyway, that's a nice thing that they do. But the first issue that came up with is there's a question from Maureen Helmuth, and she says, is it required to excuse if it's a special meeting? In other words, the motion was going to be made to excuse both Dave Bailey and Joe Frost.
Was that a question of whether it should be a full quorum or not?
Yeah. Well, it was a question if that is really necessary during a special meeting as opposed to their regular meeting.
A meeting is a meeting is a meeting.
Well, according to the attorney, Bob Davis, he was going to check on it and find out what the charter actually said, you know, about that issue.
I would say it's a meeting, but if it's a workshop, maybe not.
That's true. This wasn't really a workshop. Well, it could be a workshop, I guess, in that.
But it wasn't called that. It was
wasn't
called a special
that.
meeting.
Special meeting is what it was called.
So there.
So, yeah. So actually a motion was made to excuse the two council members. However, it was put to a sudden halt.
As long as they don't, did they actually, if there wasn't a full quorum, could they actually vote on who was going to be the clerk, or do they have to delay that till the next full meeting?
Well, they could if there's a forum or a quorum there.
But not since there wasn't one.
Well,
Full quorum, I said.
Yeah.
Super quorum.
well, a super quorum, but there were three people there who could have voted on it if they wanted to do that at that point. They had the vote necessary. But in most cases, that's not what happens. As you pointed out, they look for a super quorum, everybody to be there to make the decision.
Right, because
That's the right thing to do.
the other two may have valid points that could affect the way that went.
Right, and also, you know, we're concerned in this day and age about transparency. And so they want to make sure everything is above board.
Right.
So, makes sense, huh? So anyway,
Now that we've used up that block of time.
so that motion, though, was actually a nowhere motion because it wasn't seconded. Because of the conversation they had, you know, is it the thing to do or not the thing to do? They couldn't decide, so nothing happened here. So it was
They
actually
chose the
turned
third
down.
option.
Yeah, nothing. That'd be a third option, nothing. So anyway, so they're going to check on it and find out exactly what the procedure is to move forward on an issue like this. Seems like they would have run into this at some point, during the years and years that, the council has been in existence, but maybe
So,
not.
Here's a point for Maureen for asking the question.
Right. Let me see what else we have here. Okay. We're going to then get into the interviews. And the interviews, first one, her name is Arena. And there's some
Where is
conflict.
it?
Arena.
Where is it?
Areena. And she preferred to be known as that, just strictly Arena, as she came forward. And that was questioned the last name and so forth. And you catch more on OCCTV.org and clicking on the program itself,
And
or
you'll
going
get the
to
entire
YouTube.
verbatim of the meeting.
Or YouTube. It'd be on YouTube,
YouTube?
also. Yep, under OCTV. Anyway, this individual, she has been in as a clerk, roughly, in other capacities for 19 and a half years.
From where?
She's Rochester
Okay.
is where she was. And of course, the people on this, who were with this group, one of them was Drew Benson, who has done a lot of work with Rochester and their web pages
Is
and so forth.
Rochester and Rochester Hills two completely different communities?
Yeah, Rochester Hills would be a separate
Okay, I didn't know.
area.
I
Yeah.
thought it might be like a metro government or something.
Yeah, it could be a microcosm, mini village, mini
That
mouse.
hole is deep enough. Go for it.
Okay. Anyway, if you want to start a rumor here, we could do that.
Okay.
Okay, there's going to be a next by Oxford next week. I'm pretty sure. Okay.
I doubt it.
I doubt it? Okay. Well, that would be a good rumor. We'll try. So anyway, the questions that were asked were, have you had knowledge of converting paper trails to digital? In other words, documentation the village might have to convert to digital system. And she said yes, she has done this before. She gave a little insight of her personal background. She has a daughter who recently settled in Lapeer. She's going to have her first grandchild, which is nice. And that's one of the reasons why she wanted to move over here closer to Lapeer, which makes close, makes it understandable, especially if you have grandchildren. You know what that's like.
Yes, I
Yep,
do.
they're just like little tentacles. They attack you, connect, and they stay there forever. Seems like until they become teenagers, in which case they separate again.
Well, when
Only
they're
to come
younger,
back
they
later.
ask why, and when they get to be a teenager, they tell you why.
Right. Well, anyway, her thoughts are in the right direction here, and that's a good thing. And she said that she was president of the Oakland County Treasurers Association for a period of time, and also was very active with other treasury associations within the state of Michigan.
Okay.
So she's got a
Good background.
Good background in financial, yes. Could help convert paper to digital, no problem there, she felt. Invoice collection. You know that right now you folks can't go on the computer to pay your bills. And that's an issue that they wanted to talk about, and maybe she could cover that, and if she's had experience to do that kind of thing. It's something Village would like to do.
The clerk and the treasurer, or the clerk/treasurer, operate under the direction of the village manager.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Okay, with that, we'll talk more when we come back right after this, folks. Welcome back to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we are talking about the special meeting that they had at the Village Council, which was held on June 4th, just a few days ago. And the question about invoice collections, is she, Regina, is she familiar with the process of being able to put that on a computer and be able to control it? And yes, the answer is yes. She's familiar with it, and
about the clerical
thought that she could be an
functions?
advantage. all the clerical
I
functions.
mean, the clerk.
Yeah,
The clerk
the clerk
function.
function. She's very familiar with the clerk functions.
Okay.
Very much so.
The elections that come up and
Right.
absentee ballots. And
Take
all that
care of
other good
unpaid
stuff.
bills and that kind of thing.
All right.
Yeah, she's very familiar with that. Credit card system, also looking for a method or a way to implement the credit card system so you folks can pay by credit card out there as well. And I understand that using a credit card system by other communities actually does improve payment. You know, people are willing to use a credit card and not become delinquent if
That's
they have
true.
a credit card.
However, they have to realize that in most government situations, when you use a credit card, there's a premium charged.
Yeah, most folks, if they don't have the cash ready, they don't think about that at the time they use a credit card. You should know.
Boy.
Okay, so anyway, so that's one facet of the system that they're going to be looking at. For you folks, make it easier for you out there. Another thing that they're going to be looking at, of course, down the line, and right now is in operation, is the formulation of a website to be used by the village and DDA, and eventually, of course, by the police department here also. And that's long overdue. There's a special group of people that are working on that right now as we speak, and I'm one of those people. And so hopefully we should have some results and what direction they're going to take to develop this website within the next, I would say the next week or so at the most.
Okay.
Okay, so anyway, they asked if she was familiar with computer operations programs, familiar to the village, which is a BS&A system, as you know a few things about that probably. And she said
No.
yes. You don't? That surprises me.
I was never a clerk or a treasurer.
Yeah, but you know about the system, right?
I know there are systems. How's that?
There are systems, folks. It's
Lurking around out there, ready to be discovered.
catastrophic.
Yes.
Here it is. Okay.
Push that button.
Yeah. So anyway, she is familiar with those systems. She's also familiar with land splits and zoning, and familiarity with working with the Planning Commission, which is a good thing. I mean, they're going to be providing permits and so forth from the clerk's office, so they need to know a thing or two about it, and she knows a thing or two about it, according to what she said. Could provide economic savings through procedures and updated changes that she would make to the village, which have been probably needed for a long period of time. Joe
she-
Madur,
Okay.
the village manager, he has pointed this out and has made a number of changes already
Okay.
beneficial to the village and you folks out there. Social media. She says yes, she has experience with social media. Eric Dolan said that that's an area that they need to have more interest in, to provide report information to you, the residents out there on social, but not to have an interaction back and forth using social media, but to give you the information required to
Sort of
know
a
what's
one-way
going on.
conversation.
Rather than rumor.
No. What?
Rather than rumor.
Well,
Yeah.
that takes the whole different direction.
Yeah, the biggest problem, of course, is with social media is that there's a lot of rumor that does go on and false information that
No.
goes on. You think?
No.
And that,
As in, if it's on the system, it must be true.
well, that's
Or
that's,
not.
Yeah, right. And that can get a lot of people in trouble, and it can also point a fickle finger at the village for people that aren't doing anything wrong at all,
Right.
but trying to do the right thing. So
So,
that's an area that they have to tread softly on, right?
firmly.
Firmly on, firmly, softly. So anyway, so that was the first interview they had. The second one, her name is Teresa Terry, they call her, Onika. And she is currently the township supervisor for Atlas Township.
No.
So it's interesting. And she has served as a clerk also.
Atlas,
yeah.
Atlas also has the Goodrich system in it, too.
It does.
Yep.
And very interesting young lady. She comes from, she said, from a large family growing up. And she said that she moved, her and her family, her parents moved frequently. Kind of like you. Did you move a lot?
No.
No? Okay, you stayed in one place
Forever.
forever.
Except when I moved.
On an iceberg until the iceberg started to go out to sea. And your
Well.
parents stood at the shore and just waved goodbye.
No.
No? Okay. So anyway, He's from the other side of Canada, folks.
The right side. The good
Right,
side.
right.
God's
anyway,
country.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, icebergs and all the good stuff. Anyway, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Icebergs and codfish.
Right. And whales. Occasional
Whales.
Saw whales. Okay.
Squids.
Squids. Well, you had a yummy meal every day, I got to tell you. Especially the squid, right?
Never ate squid.
Okay.
It's good for bait.
Good for bait to catch whales. Okay, I got it.
Catch
okay,
codfish.
I got it. I figured that one out. Okay. So anyway, she's college educated also, and let me see. What does she do? Oh, she was elected as clerk with no experience whatsoever. But apparently, the clerk that they had at the time was, shall we say, a little bit, questionable in terms of the way her procedures and her reactions and responsibilities were.
They had nowhere to go but up.
They had nowhere to go but to go up. And she was supported by the local newspaper that time.
All right.
And the first time incumbent, she beat this person
Oh,
in the
Good for her.
competition. Yep, she won. The issue that occurred right after, as soon as she won the election, the lady that she was running against quit her job. So they had no clerk.
oh, wait a minute.
Immediately.
The lady she was running against would have lost her job.
Yeah, she would have.
Or was that her
but she had
assistant?
to-
Was that her assistant?
No, that was her, the clerk. And the clerk, however, instead of filling out her complete term,
Oh.
and then,
So it
then-
wasn't a direct replacement.
right, then Terry
All
moving
right.
into that position on a proper time with proper documentation. Yeah, there they were, vacant. So anyway, they said, well, we have no clerk. And they said, yes, you do. You just got one elected. So let's swear her in and put her in. So what they did is they brought her in. She said they opened the office door. They said, there's your office. If there's anything you need, let us know. So she said, I had no experience. She said I had to dig into it and find out how to run the clerk's office. And she said they had an election coming up. I had no experience with election. She said, boy, was that an education. So anyway, so she learned the hard way. So eventually, I guess, as clerk, she decided to run for a position of township supervisor, which she did, and she won that office. Now she's thinking she
Must
wants...
have done a good job as clerk.
Yeah, must have. So anyway, so she now, and by the way, this is in Genesee County, just so you folks don't understand where
Or
Atlas
is it-
Township is.
Right. But
Okay.
she ran for the Atlas.
Atlas Township Supervisor.
Okay.
Right. Got that clear. Clear as mud. Got it.
Sure.
Okay. So anyway, she has been fulfilling that job and now feels that she'd like to move into this clerk's position. And I don't think that the Atlas Township position pays that much as a small township. And I think that the money she'll be making as a clerk here in Oxford Village will actually be comparable, if not more, than what she would be making there.
Okay.
So she'll actually be improving the situation. And the question came up, why would you want to leave that position for this position where it would be possibly a down position?
In terms of the hierarchy.
Yeah, and she quickly said it's not a down position. Every position is important, and this one here, seems like it would fill her needs at this time. So anyway, we'll tell you more about this lady when we come back right after this.
What is that?
Welcome back to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're now talking about the second interview with for the clerk position for the village. And her name is Terry Onika, also known as Teresa. And very interesting lady. She's been in existence working in this field roughly now for about 18 years, so she has some pretty good experience now as well.
Popped into existence?
She just popped into existence. This is her past history we just talked about. So anyway, she would like to have this position. And let me see what else she's got going. Oh, computer software usage, experienced in that area in terms of knowledge, but no real hands-on, which is a concern. Digital transition from paper, yes, she's done that. For the township she's in existence.
Will she have anybody working under her?
As a supervisor, yes, in the township.
No, no.
Oh, you mean here?
Yes.
Oh, she will. She will. Yeah, she'll have the people that issue permits and so forth in the village. I think there's 2 other employees
Okay.
in
All right.
there, as well as, well, Mr. Madur, who's the village manager. Of
I'm
course,
sure
he
she'll
would be in
lean on them
charge.
for their body of knowledge. Yeah.
Oh, I'm pretty sure. But she's worked as a clerk, so she understands, permits and those kind of things. Social media, they ask her about that, and she says, it's a waste of time. And she's kind of right. And from the point that she was talking about where false information gets back and it creates other issues and problems, and doesn't want that to happen. Eric Dolan said that's not the purpose behind the social media in which the context and what he was talking about. And so they need to design it in such a way that it'll feed information to these residents in terms of true information and not false information. Now, if you want to send rumors out there, you could probably do that.
Oh, no, that's dangerous.
Okay, you don't want to do that, huh? Okay. Delinquent water bills. She has no experience with dealing with water bills or sewage delinquencies. Block grants. She's familiar with grants, block grants. Community development. No experience actually in community development, so would have to be acclimated for that. Experience with planning and inspections. Yes, has experience in those areas. So the council then decided to set this aside and talk about it separately and make their decision probably at the general or regular meeting that they're going to have coming
Okay.
up. So more than likely. They did have a closed session in which Bob Davis wanted to discuss issues concerning contracts and, that kind of thing. And so they did that, they came back, and then they adjourned.
All right.
That was it. Now let's talk about the Pollyant Trail dedication that they had on June 2nd. Now you and I were able to fly a drone overhead.
Yes, you were flying a drone. I was taking still pictures and trying to make sure you didn't run into any wires.
Right. His nickname now is Spot, because that's what a spotter does. Watches the drone, make sure we don't run into wires.
Spot.
And did we run into wires? You did your job well.
You came close.
Okay. Okay. Well, the bridge dedication was in behalf of Larry Albrecht. There's a lot of people there. I want to say 100 to 200 people probably present in a large tent that they had at the base of the trail bridge. And the bridge, of course, was the dedication. Mike McDonald made the opening speech, before this audience. And Linda Moran, who is the trail manager, she was there as well alongside Mr. McDonald. L. Brooks Patterson then spoke. Mike introduced Mr. Patterson, the executive director for the county. And he had some nice things to say about Larry Albrecht. He said that Larry was pretty responsible for generating over $2 million, for this trail. And he felt that they couldn't have picked a better person, to dedicate this bridge to.
Larry generated a ton of money to build that trail.
He did. Jim Marlowe, the senator, state senator, was there as well, and had a number of very good things to say as well about Larry Albrecht. And by the way, Larry's wife was there too.
Is it Albrecht or Albrecht?
Albrecht.
Okay,
Take note.
I did.
Start a rumor. Smith. No, Albrecht. Okay. So when it came time to have a ribbon cutting, which they had a ribbon across the walkway, up over the bridge, then Larry Albrecht was given the honor with these huge scissors and made the cut. People behind him were L. Brooks Patterson and of course, on the Pollyant Trail manager was there as well.
Was it Representative or Senator Marlowe was there also?
Yeah, Senator Marlowe.
Yeah.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah, man.
Didn't I mention him?
I guess. Maybe.
I have to poke him every once in a while, see if he's awake over here. I think he is. Are you awake?
I think you mentioned it.
Oh, I did mention it. Okay.
Did you?
Yeah, Senator Marlowe. Yep, Jim Marlowe. Jim. You know Jim. You know him by his first name.
No.
No? Where have you been?
Mr. Marlowe to me.
Yeah, all right. That's what he told me, too. To him, it's Mr. Marlowe. Okay, so anyway, that's the way it was, and things went really, really well. I did talk to Mike Spiz also, as the Oakland County Commissioner, and he thought it was a good thing, you know, that this dedication was
They
made
had a
as
good
well.
crowd there.
They did, a real good crowd. I want to say too that Mike Spiz is very active, you know, in the township government as well, and shows up at a lot of the village meetings and so forth.
Isn't he on a planning commission?
He is
Very
on
well.
the planning commission, yes. He serves on that board,
Okay.
and very good individual to have on that board, because he's in tune, of course, with what goes on with the county too. So
Nice to have someone like that.
it is, yep. And he's a nice guy too. See if folks remember to vote out there when the time is right. By the way, we have an election or pre-election primary in August. coming up.
August.
Yep.
Well, it's
It'll be
just
in
around the
August.
corner, folks.
Just around the corner. It would be that corner right there. That one.
You have a chance to resolve any issues you may have.
Well, you can make a lot of changes if you'd like. That's the time to make the changes, probably.
Throw the bums out.
And
Oh,
then,
no.
then, of course, the election comes in November.
Okay.
And so we'll be covering all that too, I'm
But
sure.
this is, you know, you're basically voting for, you know, the selection within your party as that goes, and
Right.
then they have it out in November.
Right. Well, I want to say that there were representatives at this dedication from Orion Township, from Orion Village, Addison Township, from Leonard
Yeah.
Village. Of course, Mike McDonald, he's the president of the village council over there in Leonard.
Yeah.
So, and he's also the president of the Pollyant Trail.
It was
Council.
it was a good crowd.
Yep, very good crowd. So I wanted to say that there's so many things that go on in the trail also that Linda Moran carries out. For example, there's new posts and signs going to go up along the trail. She's been hustling trying to get used poles rather than spend your money out there to buy new ones. She tries to keep the expenses down. Every opportunity she gets, she will go and pick them up. She'll provide trailers to get whatever is necessary.
Is that one of the issues in the election, is funding for the Pollyant Trail?
No, that's handled through the township, pretty
Okay,
much.
okay.
It's allocated through each
Okay.
of these township.
Okay, so it's not
Groups.
done by voter vote.
No.
Okay.
So what's coming up?
Well, we do have meetings.
What do we have?
6/18 at 6 o'clock, the Village of Oxford Downtown Development Authority, one of your favorites.
Yes.
And also that same day at 6 o'clock, Addison Township Board of Trustees. And the next day on 6/19 at 7 o'clock, the Oxford, Village of Oxford, that is, Planning Commission. And on that same day at 7 o'clock, the Addison Township Fire Board. On 6/20 at 3 o'clock, the Pollyant Trail will be meeting at the Oxford Township offices. And on 6/21 at 7 o'clock, the Village of Leonard Planning Commission. And at 4:30 that same day, NODA, which is
North Oakland Transportation Authority.
very good.
I do listen occasionally.
And they'll be meeting at the Village of Oxford offices.
All right, I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
Catch you next time, Minutes by Minute, right here.
See you then.